human too, with hearts that feel deeply. Dr. Thomas, how do you stay human while doing deeply emotional work?
Mm. You know, I am in the space right now where I don't really have to remind myself to stay human. I think that just working in the area that I work in, helping those recover from trauma, I've never reached a point where I said I've heard it all or, I've become numb, right? I've not become numb to violence. I've not become numb to, tragedies in our communities. I've not become numb to, so some would call the repetitiveness, right, of certain things that are happening around us. And so for me, staying human means making sure that I stay emotionally connected, both personally and professionally. But just overall, that question, I've just never tuned out, right? I've never tapped out. Matter of fact, I've always been positioned to question, how did we get here? Like, how are people suffering and surviving at the same time? Right, that for me comes a lot. It comes up a lot for me. We're suffering and surviving at the same time, and so that keeps me human. Right? Yes, this is emotional work. It's very emotional, and I mean that from what people deposit into us. That work in certain areas of specialty, and so for me, it's just been that constant touch with humanity. Right? When I see people express emotion, that actually reminds me that I'm still human, right? Because I feel it, right? I don't own it. I don't take it from them. I don't, say, hey, let me take this over for you, but I feel. And I've never lost the feeling, right? Of being human and connected in this work that I do.
That's a great statement. That brings me to my next question. Have there been moments that broke your heart or even reminded you why you do this?
I guess that question, and this is a human moment, that statement of moments that break my heart. If I'm transparent, I feel that frequently, right? Meaning that I'm honored that people share their stories with me, and I have to hear it, right, to understand how they got here. And no, I don't go, hey, tell me more about this, and this, because we know with trauma work, it's not about you knowing the details of, right? It's about how it has impacted you. But people share with me their narratives, and I'm human, and I know I'm human when I feel what I feel in response to their stories, right? Yes, my heart aches when I hear experiences of people where they had no control, where they've been violated, where, sometimes it just feels like some people have no heart for fellow man, and that keeps me drawn near, right? And so for me, I'm always trying to care from my heart because that's how I feel for my clients, right? That's how I feel for my loved ones. That's how I feel for people that's been assigned to me in my personal space. Is that moment of wow, right? I have to sit in this space and process too, either what I just heard you say or what I just saw you go through. And that often reminds me of why I do what I do, right? Is that the only way we get to hope is for us to have a safe space to process what has happened and what's it going to take to recover. And so we have to find hope. We have to find some level of, okay, is life still worth moving on, even after what I've been through. And so feeling, for me, feeling that broken heart, that prick almost, and pricks are different, right? It allows me to say, wow, this is why you do what you do. This is why you need to take care of yourself. This is why you need to show up. This is why you need to keep up, professionally, with best practices and best ways of helping people today, because of what continues to go on, in today's time.
Now, with that being said, how do you navigate your own emotions in the therapy room?
That's a good question. So I make sure, right, that I'm constantly reminding myself that the person that I'm in front of is the person that I'm serving. And so when you talk about having emotional reactions while in a session, we're human, therapists are human, and we are real people, right? And we have real emotions. And so for me, over time, because, God has really placed me in a position to serve those, the hurt of the hurt, right? And so I understand what I'm walking into often, which is a trauma-informed care approach. I understand that I have to make sure that I navigate my emotions accordingly and appropriately in a space where it belongs to somebody else. So I have my systems in place. I don't underestimate, right, the time that I need to regroup. I don't underestimate that, I can't go weeks at a time, right, without checking in and doing what I need to do emotionally. But in the therapy room, I've made a commitment to say that the attention is to the person that I serve. And my emotions need to support how I serve them. So the way I approach therapy is, right, like I need to feel what I feel to be present in the moment with the person that I'm serving, because we ultimately have to get to why you're here. And I mean, to feel better, to change, to look at things differently, to change a perspective, or even if it's just to vent, to let it out, right? Because that's sometimes happen as well. I need to be available, and I need to let my feelings be part of who I am, but not be in the driver's seat. My emotions need not to guide, right, how I'm implementing my therapeutic practices, but it needs to support that I am human, that is a person on the receiving end, right, of your story and your pain.
Now, what's one misconception about therapists you wish people would release?
Well, I think for me, I'm always sharing with people that, therapists, we don't have a magic wand, right? There's no magic pen that we have. And I say that because I use a pen a lot in therapy. My clients know I like to write out, like I just be going to town, like, okay, let's put this thing together. Let's piece it together because, this is your life, right? And so for me, it's one of those things where therapy is a journey, right? But a therapist does not have the prescription to fix any and everything in your life. The journey of therapy, the therapeutic space, is a space for you to take the lead on that yourself, right? And to say, like, I'm being helped, right? I'm being helped. And sometimes, it could be a hindrance when we allow a therapist to have the power over you overcoming the obstacles of your life. And we need to make sure as therapists that our clients maintain the power that they always had, when they come into the therapeutic space. You have that power. And our job is to make sure that you stay empowered, meaning you create mechanisms to cope with whatever life may bring. Right. So I just wanted to put that out there, that to release that misconception that your therapist has all of your life answers before you even get there, and let alone go through the journey.
Right, that's great. Purpose and pain often walk hand in hand. When the work feels heavy, what keeps you going, Dr. Thomas?
When the work feels heavy, what keeps me going? Moments of rest, right? Moments of rest. My body lets me know when the work is heavy. And so I've gotten better, right? I've really gotten better at being more responsive time-wise when it comes to keeping my battery charged, right? And so when I think about keeping my battery charged, I often think about, where I have to be honest with myself, right? And so when you say purpose and pain often walk hand in hand, I have a life too. And what I mean by that is, we go through things as well. And so I have to be in tune with my own purpose and pain, right? I have to understand, well, how does my pain lead to purpose? And how do I understand when my pain, I can't always see my purpose, right? Because life is happening for me as well. And so, I have to understand, different times of the year, the work is heavy, right? We're in a season where, especially when we talk about the fall season, the holiday seasons, we know that the work is heavy, right? Because things typically happen more at certain times of the year. And so I try to prepare accordingly, meaning, I again have my outlet, have my connections, but I'm also ensuring that my clients walk this as well. Right. So for me, I'm attentive to that. I'm attentive, with the people that I serve. Like we know enough now about what times of the year, what's going on in your life where the way you show up in therapy, right, is going to pull, right, what it needs to pull to help you. And sometimes that requires a lot of energy, right? And I'll just keep it real, right? Doing therapy requires energy. And so you have to know when your energy is being pulled, because there's some different strategies and mechanisms we have to have as therapists to recharge, right? The battery gets low, right? And we can't afford to operate on fumes in an empty tank. So that's pretty much, right, what keeps me going is making sure I rest.
Now, through that, have you ever doubted your impact? If so, how did you move through that?
Sometimes I get, as they say, in my feelings, when I am hearing more about, let's just take suicide, right? Like that's one of the things that, like, I'm in that space now in terms of like how because it's increasing now. We're just living in this time where the numbers for suicide, it's rising, especially among our minority community, our Black and brown, brothers and sisters, our young people, our youth. And so for me, when I think about that question, doubting my impact, I just, when I hear it, that it happened again, I think I look at it from a community standpoint, like how do we feel? Like how do we address this issue? Because I don't think sometimes I feel like we're doing enough to address the issues that go on in our communities. And so I take that on personally. Like, I know I have a part, I know I have a role, and am I doing enough? Am I getting information out there enough? And that kind of, for me, that's a moment of reflection to say, like, is there something else to do right now, right, in this season? The numbers are high. You see people, our communities are suffering in certain ways there, especially with the violence, right? No, we can't person by person stop someone from being violent, but like, how do we address the issues of our community from a mental health standpoint? Because some of this is like, we hear it again and again and again, and we really need to question, like, what's our part, right? Like, what do we do? Is there something else that we can do? And I think that's that space that I get in, and how do I move through that? I look at advocacy, right? And that's more on the professional side, but I'm in that space of, making sure I take care of myself, making sure that whoever God places me in front of, that I give my all. I think I'm always trying to make sure that I give my all, right? That I'm being authentic, that I'm being pure, that I'm available mentally, emotionally when I'm sitting in front of someone and they're sharing with me their life story.
That's nice. Now, what's the hardest part of holding space for others' pain?
The hardest part for holding space for others' pain is making sure that they feel that they can share everything that they need to feel. Not everything, according to me, what they need to share, but like I'm always like trying to ensure, like, is this space safe enough? Do you feel safe enough to go as deep as you need to go? Right. And I try to, in my approach, especially, working, with trauma is making sure that from, how I'm hearing them, how I'm giving back to them what I heard, even to the goals that we set, for a therapy, what are the milestones and just in how we talk, whether we're doing virtual telehealth sessions or they're in the office. I think that for me, I'm always, trying to make sure that they feel safe in sharing the deepest depths of their pain. So that's how I can describe, like, the hardest part is just making sure that my space is inviting for someone to be vulnerable and share their pain.
Gotcha. Now, with everything that people go through and that you hear, what keeps your passion alive in this field?
What keeps my passion alive is knowing that this is my lifelong purpose. I'm always trying to renew myself, right? I'm trying to figure out ways to help someone, the next session. I'm always trying to figure out, even, we do a lot of groups here in various focus and specialties. And so what keeps my passion alive is making sure that we are innovative, making sure that I'm refreshed, right, for the services that I offer, because yes, I listen. Like, when I have, clients or just people in passerby who share with me that they've not had the most efficient and effective experience in therapy, like, that keeps me going. That always puts me in a position not to, like, undo or redo their past experience, but more of, like, how can this be different, right? Like, how can this time make a difference in how you see not just the mental health field, but also how you see navigating life moving forward, because you go through therapy for a reason, right? And so you have this expectation on, it's almost like a return on your investment. You come and you be vulnerable. So what keeps my passion alive in this field is, making sure that I'm continuously serving my clients with the top quality service. I believe in that, right? And so been in this for, almost, 20 years now, and that fire has not died, right? Did I get tired? Absolutely. But the fire to deliver therapeutic services has not died. Well, thank you all for joining us on this segment of Healthy Soul Talk with Dr. Thomas. And so thank you for watching. And I hope that something was said that inspired you to help someone or to go on into your journey of wellness. Thank you.